Hey, my name is Alex with Dave Tech Tutorials, and today I have the honor of interviewing Will Kennedy. Will is a seasoned Atlassian administrator. He's been in the industry in the Atlassian ecosystem for many, many years, and it was just an absolute blast to learn so much from him, get his perspective on life, talk about Atlassian, talk about Jira. It was just amazing. I hope you really do enjoy this interview as much as I did talking to Will. And before we actually jump into the interview, a couple of quick announcements. One, please make sure you go check out our new channel that the Jira guy and I have launched, The Jira Life. We need a lot of subscribers, so link is in the description. Make sure you go subscribe over there. Two, if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, make sure you comment, share your favorite moment, and let us know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And finally, this video would not have been possible without the tremendous support that we get from our good friends over at Old Street Solutions. This video is sponsored by them, and so please make sure you check out custom charts for either Jira or Confluence, both available in the Atlassian marketplace. Take your dashboards and reporting to the next level with perhaps the easiest metrics and reporting tool available for any and all Jira and Confluence users. Trust me when I tell you, this thing makes reporting metrics easy. It's a totally cool tool. Highly recommend you check them out. Link is in the description below for all the details you need. And now, without any further ado, let's go chat with Will. Hey everyone, today I'm going to be interviewing William Kennedy. He is another member of the Atlassian community and someone that I really want you to know. Now, I had an opportunity to have a pretty good discussion during Teams 23, and I'm excited to continue that conversation and learn a little bit more about William. Thank you very much, William, for coming on, and looking forward to our, I guess, part 2 of our conversation.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, glad to be back with you. What a fun team. If you haven't made the trek, do it, commit, give yourself the permission to go next year and start saving your pennies.
Definitely start saving now. You heard it here first. It is worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth the investment.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be connected in the community, but to go and see the faces behind the posts and shake the hands and be there for the keynotes. Anyway, the fog, you have to be there for the fog if you're not dancing bash.
One thing that I think you should definitely do next year before Team is publish your retrospective on Team, because I would have loved to have learned all your lessons before I got there.
Yeah, those bullet points. I'll do that. Thanks.
Yeah, that was a really, really good one. Yeah. So anyways, we'll start this off with the first question, a little easy, kind of ease you into this whole thing. Let's talk about your origin story. Tell us about yourself, your experience. Where do you come from? How did you end up in this world of Atlassian?
Yeah, well, I came to the Atlassian tools after, 15 years or so in managed services, data center operations, basically IT service management before we had a fancy name for it. Running basically data center operations. So keeping track of all the systems. One of the clients was Wikipedia. So keeping track of all the boxes that served the Wikipedia database in our facility, among all the other hosts, all the details of those hosts and their names, their proper host name, all the details, writing the software to make that happen and making the Excel spreadsheet kind of disappear, got me started and kind of whet my appetite for good tools. Went on to do kind of bigger projects and touch other systems like ClearCase and Remedy and owning Bugzilla.
You just down my back with ClearCase. I hated ClearCase and the ClearQuest combo. I hated
but a lot of big things got done. Can't argue with some of the successes of those tools, but man, are they not any kind of fun to use. And so I was on the lookout always for something great. I heard about Jira in 2008 or so, 2007. Gosh, it was really early, and started watching. And then a few years later, I wound up in an environment where we were using basically the full suite of products: Jira, Greenhopper at the time, Fisheye and Crucible for code review, Bamboo, all our app builds for all the mobile application platforms at the time. Still building for Palm, still building for BlackBerry, but building for iOS and Android, running it all through Bamboo and seeing all of the code, all the commits, and all of the requirements flow through Confluence, Jira, and be represented in the teams that delivered the actual features in those apps. It blew my mind, and it sold me, I think, forever on the potential and the capabilities of the tools. So that's when I started kind of going out and trying to deliver the same experience for other companies. If they were using...
You're taking me through here. Fisheye, I have not used Fisheye since like 2016.
Yeah, I mean, people still use it.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's still...
Bamboo, yeah, no, it's definitely, you're taking me down memory lane now as myself.
It is a very stable product at this point. At any rate, yeah, I mean, I don't think, and the market supports this, that there's not another sort of product offering, SaaS offering, that touches what is capable for teams and for the customers that are served by those teams. And I think that's really the kind of magic formula.
Because I would say that the one that comes the closest is Azure DevOps, but that one, unless you're in a .NET organization, it doesn't give that sense, the same aura, if you will.
Yeah, you have to be aligned in some way.
Yeah, with the Microsoft stack. Yeah, so anybody not doing Microsoft, it'll still do it, but it's definitely optimized for Microsoft stack development.
The value there, yeah.
Yeah. So your first memory then, what would you say is your first or your favorite, most cherished memory of using Jira, or something you can think back and share with us? Putting you on the spot.
Well, there are so many cherished memories of using Jira, I gotta say.
I will tell you that you're definitely, just from the folks that I've been talking to already, you're the one that's going the farthest back, because the Jira guy, he was going back to like 2015 in Jira, and Andy, fun man Andy, he came in recently, just in 2019. Jimmy Seddon, I was talking to him, and he was similar, 2019-ish, I think, timeframe. So yeah, you're taking us back to 2007, 2008.
Jira 4, it's been a lot of time. I'd say probably I guess if I had to go for thrills, it was probably the first time I worked with Jira in Python. Being able to use the APIs effectively was probably a game changer and big.
Anything special that you built?
One moment.
Anything you share that you built?
Well, I mean, I'm looking into some recommendation tools. So like for teams who are maybe running the Jira Cloud Migration Assistant, or looking for an option to JCMA, or even some time ago, Google published a tool like the Atlassian add-on audit sheet or something like that, but it's a little Python script that connects to your instance and gets some of the details you'd need to make an informed decision about your cloud move. Like, who's using the add-ons in your instance? How much do they cost? Are you current?
Yeah.
Kind of.
And this is in addition to the analysis that Atlassian gives you, right? During using the migration assistant.
In addition to, kind of supplemental. So,
yeah, because I've heard that assistant migration, it's good. It's got a good checklist, but it's definitely, I can see that a lot of teams do way more or go deeper with their on-premise versions of Jira than Atlassian probably wants to admit.
there are so many cases where I've seen custom, like, integrations with Jira in places you wouldn't expect, and like, hard coded, and legacy at this point.
It's like they gave everybody these keys to this like candy shop, and now all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna close the store down. But we had so much creative freedom back then.
Yeah, I it's an interesting raises an interesting question for me. Like, what would if you need another excuse me, if you need another interview question, the capabilities that I would hope for in cloud versus data center. Yeah, we're touching on some of that, like the ability to find out where in your instance these things can hide, but at the same time, when you're in the cloud, you've got little opportunity to do that kind of embedding.
Yeah, it's a much more controlled garden in the cloud. Like there's a lot of the stuff, because I was talking to Rodney, or the Jira guy, about this too, right? Like when I did Jira and I was doing admin on data center, we didn't do anything exciting. Like we integrated Fisheye and Bamboo and stuff, Confluence and Jira, but that was it. Like we didn't go deeper than just like getting the things to talk to each other. We didn't do anything custom. We didn't do any solutions. And now I'm learning that was all possible.
Yeah.
Doing all this Java development and stuff. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, you get licensed to the source code. If you want to add or change velocity templates, like at the low level in Jira, like that was part of.
I wonder why Atlassian 180'd on that then.
Well, I mean, if you have ever had to go in and untangle some of that stuff where there's business functionality hard coded into a jar that nobody can admin, it's like.
But why offer it?
Well, they don't anymore, right? They don't really. You can't, like, that's part of what server offered and what is taken away, right? Or even data center for that matter.
Yeah. But all right, so obviously reminiscing on a lot of memories here with the data center and server versions of Jira. On a similar fashion here, what's your biggest lesson that you've learned or horror story in your career that you can share?
Oh man, be careful about your data. I guess if you're working through a migration, be extra careful about how you approach the migration and how you measure the success of the migration. What does that mean? It's kind of going back to the ability to hide things or sneakily kind of embed things. There may be Confluence content that has links copied and pasted that are back to your old Jira or 2 Jiras ago, or a Confluence page, or something somewhere that the migration tools can't address for you. And it's hard to apologize to users when their content needs to be recreated from scratch. And that's one of the ways you can avoid putting yourself in that scenario. The diligent export PDF could really genuinely save your
behind. Yeah, no, it's just super interesting, right? Like just thinking about like what was possible to what is now possible, and just all the gaps that are still kind of left hanging. It is definitely a big challenge. One that I didn't really appreciate. But in the cloud, a common theme that I usually get is somebody will ask me like, "Hey, Alex, can you do this in Jira?" And I'm like, no, it's not possible. So then they go into Google and they're Googling like, it is possible. There's documentation on this. I'm like, yeah, but that's not for the cloud. That article is not, you got to look at the top right corner there. It's not for the cloud.
Yeah.
And then they get deflated and they're like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
All right. If you could change one thing from Jira or Atlassian, what would it be?
Oh man, you know what I would do? I have been actually working on an open letter trying to convince
I will
the
tell you, Atlassian does watch these videos from time to time. So if you
well,
want to, the stage is yours.
it may or may not see the light of day, but I've been working on and thinking through what it would take to make the case for opening up, kind of making an open standard out of Jira, like the Jira issue type, the Jira workflow, what constitutes a Jira project. Like, open it up, make it something that the community can enhance and address. Like, there are people who are still waiting in vain for bugs to get fixed that have, that like they're unfixable for architectural reasons. And some of those architectural reasons may be addressable by the community and by like things like ChatGPT, like, being able to do the impossible with like renaming groups or, that kind of thing. Taking a new look at it.
Yeah, that would be super interesting, right? Like basically, yeah, and almost like a bounty program from like a cybersecurity perspective, right? But obviously not fixing bugs, but or finding vulnerabilities, but definitely being able to allow people that are passionate about this in this community like an opportunity to help maybe build out or fix some of the things that have been annoying them for years.
Yeah, bugs are features. Like, hey, this feature is worth 50 grand to my organization. Make it happen. Somebody would be motivated enough to make it happen,
Right. Yeah. No, definitely yeah, because so Atlassian, right? I'm assuming they have limited resources and some things they have that thing where you can vote for features to get built or not.
Yeah.
And some that do go by the wayside, it'd be kind of cool to let other people pick it up. Because when people recommend it, I mean it might have some merit.
Yeah, or have some kind of like, community super delegate come in and say, no, this is, you absolutely need to prioritize this thing.
It'd be interesting for Atlassian. They have Atlassian has their like their hackathon, right? That they've always touted as part of their culture. So it'd be interesting to have like a hackathon where you open it to the community and let like members of the community come in and participate.
Well, I mean, I think the argument might be that they do. The APIs are open. Forge is wide open. You could write any type of add-on now, really, that you would want to. And I think that's, I don't know, maybe where they're interested.
I've been trying to use Forge, man. It's hard. I've been struggling through it. ChatGPT has been helping out quite a bit, though.
Yeah, right.
If it wasn't for ChatGPT, we'd probably still be in like square zero.
Well, that's what I mean, man. There's lots of innovation out there, potential that wasn't there when Jira was conceived, right? And
yeah, I mean, just within the last 6 months, right?
Absolutely, yeah, right. What a couple of a quarter plus, and they turned out the Atlassian analytics in its kind of preview form, so they know what's up.
I've been struggling with that Atlassian analytics. I am very excited because I was like on the beta program for that or the EAP for that, and I struggled through it. Like I could not get that thing to do anything because I don't have like a data science degree. But I was really excited at the keynote when they're like, "Hey, Atlassian Assistant is going to be able to, or intelligence is going to be able to help you write those queries for you." I'm like, "Well, now that's easy if I can just tell it what I want," and it goes and auto generates all the joins and the tables and everything. So that I'm looking forward to that now.
Yeah.
What is something unique, special in the way you use Jira? I like to tell people that when I can look at any Jira in the world and I know that I was there, like I leave my DNA, my fingerprints. What's something about how you administer or use Jira that it's got the William stamp of approval?
Oh man.
Is there a technique or a style that you particularly proud of?
It really depends on the challenge in the scenario. I am a leave no trace sort of person.
Clean up after
They're
you.
like, I don't know what you would if you saw. Right. Yeah. So I guess if you were around an environment where I had been, you would see many XML exports that were possibly like tediously named, versioned with timestamps and meticulously restored into a sandbox or some type of like intermediate or proving environment. Um, so that you might see those around. Like I'm really, really vocal about the multi-tier architecture and being diligent about maintaining at least a dev jira. So if there's a dev jira and it's got a different color header and you know has a maybe even a workflow around a run book for refresh hanging around in Confluence, that might be my signature.
It's always exciting, right? I'm like I like to hear other people's thoughts on like because I'm like a team of one most of the time. I don't really collaborate with other admins, so it's always interesting for me to hear how other people do basically my job, but from just a way different perspective, right? So it's interesting to hear your answer there. What excites you the most about the future of Atlassian? Things that are coming or yet to come.
Um, well, as far as I know, well, I don't really know. Okay, apart from the obvious things that were introduced at Team and the integration of intelligence, like thinking about the product manager who can now effectively do the data science job, at least somewhat, to be able to go in there and plain English explain. I want to see how the market changed as a result of my team's effort, or how the product improved, or how we need to change the product to address market need. It's like that's their concern, and for them to be able to go in to a tool like intelligence and analytics and pull those data together and like look at product discovery and find where their opportunities are and be able to make quick informed decisions, that's really exciting, but that's really obvious
Okay.
to
Well, a couple more.
me.
Oh, go ahead.
To me, and I can't say too much because I don't know too much, but to me, I think um, an exciting change is the kind of the TAM program and some of the changes that are going on there in enterprise.
How would you feel? So I threw this idea at Atlassian, and they seem to have liked it, but I wanted to see your perspective or your reaction. Right. So there's this community of Atlassian community leaders, which I'm not a part of, sadly. I'm still trying to get involved. Right. But my question or my feedback that I give Atlassian is like the TAM program, awesome, right? Companies with lots of money, they can hire basically their own private Jira consultant helper guide of all things Jira or Atlassian, right? But wouldn't it be like I was like, hey, look, the situation that I'm in is I teach people how to use Jira for like a living, right? That's is what the YouTube channel is all about. But what do I do when I'm stuck? Right? Like I'm the expert, right? Like you're an expert. And so what do we do when we're stuck? Like we don't have a help, right? We don't have like a TAM type of situation. So I was like, you should have like a TAM for the community leaders so that there's always like some sort of ability to like help, like train the trainer type of thing. Any thoughts on that?
Well, like you, I'm not I'm not a community
We're not,
leader.
we did not get to go cross into that
I,
section off rope and bash.
I didn't get the special goodie bag or anything. No. Um,
And the dinner with the founders.
I yeah, I mean, super cool, super cool stuff. And I think though, to your point, somewhere in the community program, there's a not necessarily an escalation point, but some kind of outreach network. But then community is more about building opportunity for customers and less about the problem solving. But so I hear what you're saying, and I think the answer, the Atlassian answer might be, I can't speak for them,
Obviously.
but the answer might be that the partner program is constructed in a way that shouldn't really be an issue for you if you're on board with the partner program.
So as long
Because,
as you know the right people and you're in the right groups, life
well,
will be good.
yeah, as long as you've like kind of met the bar, right? You've got to have that marketplace presence and so on. And when you do that, you also gain access to additional resources. Or
Okay.
like if you're a partner, for example.
Yeah. Now I get it. So is that something though? Like, do you feel comfortable talking about A9? Do you want to kind of talk about the charter there or the mission or what you're trying to build with that? Or
Yeah.
it's totally, I can definitely not include it.
Yes. So what is A9? So following on my experience with the company was Blackboard Mobile. Following on my experience there, I looked at what was happening in the marketplace, looking at the partners, looking at companies like C Prime and Clear Vision and Valiantus and
These big heavy hitters.
now they are, right, but then they were just the people who were in the game. And I looked at what they were doing, companies like Adaptivist, Service Rocket, companies who were providing consulting services and managed services and for that in the ecosystem for the tool. And I said to myself, man, I've got years of managed services experience. I can and do engineer and deliver architecture that can run these apps for Fortune 50 companies. And so that's sort of what I set out to do. A9 is kind of short for Atlassian and for Amazonian. So the idea was running Atlassian tools in Amazon. And so I did some of that in the cloud. But then, so anyway, that's kind of where it started. But I guess the focus is really on the architecture, platform architecture for Atlassian. So things that touch it, like Tableau, IDP systems, federated systems where there's like an air gap or some type of legacy need to keep the old Jira 4 running because you own the source code and of all those modifications to the velocity templates and so on. That's kind of where I'm at, pivoting to the applications of machine learning and process mining and kind of how they relate back to improvement and enhancing the value.
Awesome. All right. Couple of last questions here just to kind of start winding things down. What is one plugin you just can't live without? What's your go-to plugin? You always got to have that one.
Got to have
Like a
script
trusty
runner.
plugin. Sorry?
You've got to have script runner.
Script runner. I have never actually used script runner. Is it that good?
Yeah. It may change the way you think about Jira. And if you already think about Jira and kind of as a programmer, it's perfect.
I'm gonna have to give it a try. I've always told people that script runner is like you almost like need a PhD to know how to use it because it's just so infinitely powerful.
Well, ChatGPT knows a lot about script runner.
See, I haven't actually given it a thought post ChatGPT world, so this is might be time for me to revisit a lot of things that scared me. Right?
It's a blast. I mean, even it can fix old broken examples even. And
yeah, great. The one example that pops up continuously is on the topic of blockers. The proper way to block an issue in Jira is to take one story and block it by another one by linking them together and using the blocks and block by relationship, right? But in Jira native, you can't find the issues that were blocked. There is no JQL for show me everything that is blocked by X or whatever. You need
No.
Script Runner to go find those kind of things. So that's like the one thing that if I were to go use Script Runner, I'd go use it for that, because you have impediments. It's part of the way of Agile, right? What did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what are your impediments? And naturally tracking and labeling your impediments in Jira is a fundamental thing. You can't find them once they're set.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and that's raises an interesting point about reporting and the difficulty when it comes to what you can get out of JQL and what's deeper.
Awesome. All right. So what secret do you have for folks wanting to get into this space, like new people that are learning? Because a lot of people that are watching my channel here, there's usually one or two camps. They're either aspiring Jira admins, or they just got dumped this Jira thing and now they got to figure out how to be an admin, or they're like a fresh new Scrum Master, and they're just also now trying to learn how to use the tool. So how, over your career, what tips have you gained along the way to help you accelerate your learnings, and that might benefit somebody that's new?
Well, if somebody volunteered you as a Jira admin, you have the sympathy of the whole entire community, and they are at your beck and call. So for the people who are passionate and motivated, I mean, everybody's got their reason why they like or get something out of using particularly Jira, especially in an Agile or Scrum kind of delivery context. I guess my message is look beneath the surface. We talked about a lot of ways that you might not be able to see or readily get what you think or expect might be in Jira. Don't give up. Look at nesting your JQL if you have to, or getting your hands dirty with the REST API and Python and going outside the UI. The power is outside of the
Outside
Jira
the safety.
Sorry?
Outside the safety of Jira.
It's outside the safety of your mouse. Yep, you need to get your hands on the keyboard and tell it what you want. And ChatGPT makes it so easy now.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think I'm gonna probably invest a little bit more time into ChatGPT and seeing ways to augment Jira. Because I did a couple videos on just like how to write stories and how to plan a sprint, but there's definitely a lot more applications from an admin perspective that I'm going to explore a little bit deeper here.
We should set something up and do that, because I've got some things I might be able to share and kick off a conversation.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'll definitely schedule a follow-up. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to end with one last question here is, where can people find you? Where are you online, and what are you proud of that you want to show off and people come to find you and your traffic?
I'm at a9group.net. Right now, I think it's just it's a kind of outdated landing page. a9group.net. You can also search on LinkedIn. I think the majority of my social content is on LinkedIn these days. a9group.net. That's me.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, William, for taking the time. Glad that we got to have the second conversation. It was a blast. I was so tired that Thursday, but it was great to just sit down for, almost an hour, that I just got to share my metrics with you, and hopefully we can get the conversation going and see how we can eventually grow a little bit stronger together.
Cool. Cheers. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, well, thank you again. And that was it. That was our interview with Will. I hope you enjoyed it. I had an absolute great, phenomenal time getting to learn so much from Will, so many insights shared in this video, and I hope that you learned a thing or two as well. Please do make sure you subscribe to this channel. Go check out the Jira Life. Subscribe to that channel as well. Go check out Custom Charts for Jira or Confluence, both available in the Atlassian Marketplace. They are phenomenal applications that take metrics and reporting to the next level. So if you are tired of those very, very bland and just basic Jira reports, Custom Charts for Jira or Custom Charts for Confluence is going to be something you want to go and install right now. Our good friends over at Old Street Solutions have made this video possible. So go show them your support, go show them your love, and the link is in the description below. with the link that you need in order to go get custom charts for Jira and or Confluence installed in your Confluence and Jira today. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back next week as we will continue our Thursday interview series. But don't forget that part of our Summer of Atlassian 2.0, we have videos every day of the week. So make sure you like these videos, make sure you're subscribing, and make sure you're coming back for another great video. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need